Hey guys, as you can probably tell, I'm on my webcam again, shocker there. But I'm hoping that next time I do a video, it will be on my iPod, which I'm actually charging. But the night time is easier for me, even though Zeus is now in his mad cat mood, where he is becoming a nut job pretty much. So you may see him like running along the back there because he becomes so weird at night. I don't even know what it is. I mean, I know kittens and puppies are energetic, but he literally is a lunatic at night time. So yeah. Um, I'm gonna have to do this in two parts, maybe. It depends how long I talk about Kai for, which I just tried filming this and it was kind of too long, so I may have to do it in two parts. But I'm doing my pregnancy vlog, a short one, because it's really not anything to update on, and Kai at the same time, kind of thing. But you're not doing it. He's staring at the laptop. He like pounces at everything. But so yeah. The nighttime, like I was saying, is easier for me when Kai's asleep, because he's hard work and he doesn't really let me film unless he's got something on TV. And I'm normally distracted when Kai's awake, so I can't really talk. So it's a lot easier for me to do videos when he's asleep. But I will talk about his sleep in a minute. But for the last week, he's been refusing naps. So apart from today, he did have a nap. But yeah, he's kind of been refusing that sleep. But anyway, and I'm just getting the cat down because he's playing with the wire. Yeah, so where was I? So I'll start with his sleep. Oh, actually I'll start with his how old he is now. He's 16 months old now, so I'm not sure when I last did an update, but anyway. Um, so his sleep at night time has been fine for ages. Like obviously he hasn't woken in the night for a while unless he's been ill, which he was ill literally like a week or two ago, I think it was. I think that's what then caused his naps to be all messed up was after he was ill because it wasn't that long ago. It's like a week or a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. He was fine in the day apart from he was slightly grumpy for a few days, and then at night I can't remember what time it was. It was like 9:30. No, 9 to 9:30. He just woke up screaming his head off in pain, and I was like really shocked because he never cries like that unless obviously he's in pain. So I was like, great, I wonder why he's in pain. So I went in, um, and he was literally just lying there screaming, 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 which he never does obviously. So I was like kind of worried because I was like, well, why is he like that? Because I mean, obviously you know your own child, so you know what's normal for them, and he never does that at all unless he's hurt himself. So I was kind of like, a bit confused. So I just went in and I was like, I looked at him and I thought, well, there's nothing I can see that's wrong. So I just thought maybe it was a nightmare or something, I don't know. So I went to give him his dummy and then I walked back out and then he was quiet for maybe like 5 seconds and then he started again and properly going again. So I was like, well, obviously there is something wrong. So I went in, picked him up and looked at him and he was boiling hot to touch and his cheeks were bright red and he was really, obviously he'd just woken up so he was kind of like all sleepy. And then I realised he'd had a bad stomach. He stank of poo, obviously. So I then thought, oh great, I'm gonna have to change him, which is out of routine. So I was like, oh great. But I didn't know he had diarrhea. So when I changed him, he had a really bad upset stomach. So I assumed, well, obviously it's his stomach then. Um, but his bum was so sore and he wouldn't let me wipe. Like whenever I touched his bum to wipe, obviously his bum, he would scream in pain even more and squirm. So I couldn't really get all of it off. I just tried to get the most of it off because I didn't want to hurt him. Obviously he needed a clean bum. So once I'd done that, I picked him back up. He was still going, still crying. So I went into the kitchen and I gave him medicine because right away I then assumed, well, as he's got an upset stomach, he's either got a bug or it's his teeth. Because his cheek, one side of his cheek was really, really red. So, and obviously teething can cause upset stomachs. So maybe it was a combination of both. But I did definitely think he was teething at that point, or moving around like his teeth are moving around. But so I phoned my mum because he wasn't acting. I mean, I know he was upset and everything, but he just wasn't acting normal. And I always just check with my mum anyway, just because I'm that sort of person. I worry so much about anything, even though I was pretty sure I knew what it was, but I just wanted to check with my mum. Um, and because he hadn't stopped crying still, which is unusual for him, because usually if you just pick him up and comfort him, he'll be fine, but he hadn't stopped crying. And then eventually I sat on the sofa with him, and he was just staring at the TV. I can't remember what I had on, but he was just staring at the TV. And then I left it for about 20 minutes of just sat there with him for the medicine to sort of start working, and then I put him to bed, and he was fine. I didn't hear a peep from him. And then the next morning he was back to normal, so that was kind of weird. But my mum said that it was probably just the bowel movement that hurt him, like stomach ache. I reckon that's probably what it was. But because he was so out of character, that's why I spoke to my mum. Some like usually I know when it's his teeth. I wasn't completely sure, but and I can't remember when that was. But that's the last time he's been ill. He doesn't get ill that often, luckily. Like obviously that's a good thing, but and when he does, it's mainly his teeth or his stomach. So, but then it could be a combination of both. But yeah. And then since he had that episode, he hasn't been having naps, which brings me on to the naps. And like I said, he always sleeps well at night, apart from if he's got a reason not to, like ill, or his teeth hurt. There's always normally a reason. He doesn't just not sleep, luckily. But yeah, so then he refuses his naps. Apart from today, which is weird because he's in a toddler bed now. But he usually, for ages, I can't remember how long, but he's been having one nap in the morning for about 2 to 3 hours. It depends. Normally it's 2 hours he has a nap for now. Um, Basically from when he wakes up, he gets 2 hours and then he has a nap because that's when he needs one. So he stays up for 2 hours and then he'll go down for a nap, which obviously depends on when he's up. Um, but for a while he was getting up at consistent time of 8:30. So he would always go down for a nap at 10:30 and then wake up around 12:30, which is his lunchtime. But obviously, like I said, recently that's been a completely different story. Been all over the place, apart from today. But yeah, so he went in a toddler bed yesterday. He slept fine at night. It was this morning, that was the problem. He's been doing this for a while, but he wakes up early, basically. Um, Early from what he usually does, basically, because when I say early, it could be 6:40 or 7, which some people think that's normal, but for Kai, that's not normal, which is why I say early. But just in case people think, oh, that's not early, but because I know like 5 in the morning would be early, but for Kai that is. So anyway, he wakes up early, and then I have to go in and put his dummy in, and then he goes back to sleep for a few more hours, and then gets up at a normal time, around 8:30, 9, sometimes even later. Um, but yeah, so I was this morning when he woke up at like 6:40, I went in like usual, but obviously he was in a toddler bed, so it was different. He hadn't worked out how to get out of it at that point, so that wasn't why. He was messing around, all excited and happy, and I was obviously like half asleep and really not looking forward. And plus, because of my pelvic problems, it's really difficult for me. The toddler bed is a lot lower, so it's kind of difficult to get under the bed because Dummy always goes behind the toddler bed like it did with the cot. So I have to climb under the bed, and it's really hard for me to get up off the floor. So I'm obviously in a bad mood anyway because I've been woken up, half asleep, and then I've got to dig around under the bed to find his dummy, which I can obviously see it, but because my pelvis is so painful, like to get up off the floor, and then I'm like in pain, so I'm like, oh great. But yeah, and then I put that in, say goodnight, do the same thing like I always do, but it took 3 times of me going in until he actually went back to sleep. Which to me that's not that bad for the first night of being in a toddler bed. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. Because some kids can be really, really bad. So I'm lucky that he wasn't that bad. I suppose it was third time lucky that at that time, because I was just lying in bed after the third time praying that he would just stay asleep, like so I could go back to sleep. But luckily he did. But yeah, it took an hour and then 3 times, and then that was that this morning. And then his nap, he went after 2 hours. I put him in there. It was around 11:15, something like that. I can't remember. And I thought, oh, he's probably not going to go to sleep because he's in a toddler bed, and he worked out how to get out of it because I went in, I put him for a nap basically, and he was quiet for a while until I heard loads of banging, which then I assumed, oh great, he's got out of the bed, which he had. So he obviously worked out how to. And then I just put him back in there and said goodnight. And then I didn't hear from him again until he woke up from his nap. So I was really shocked because I was assuming that he was going to be a nightmare. But nope, he went straight to sleep. So I was really happy about that because then he got his nap, which he does need a nap still. He really does. When he's up all day, he is a nightmare. So today he's been really easy. Like he hasn't been stroppy really. He's been really easy to handle today. Whereas if he doesn't have a nap, then I'm generally more stressed, and he's a lot more stressed because he needs sleep. So today has been good for that. So now I've just got to keep hoping that as each day goes on, that he just adjusts to the toddler bed fine. But so far, he's taken to it quite well. He's not really bothered about his cot. Obviously, if he saw the cot, because it is in the bedroom, so I'm kind of having to hide the cot somehow in case he goes in the bedroom and sees it, because he'll get confused. But he hasn't really been that bothered so far. And Zeus is playing with my sock. He's really bizarre. Um, yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Um, as for like Kai talking and stuff, he doesn't really say any more words. The only words that he says that he didn't used to was that. He sort of says, what's that? Or it sounds like it. Or points at stuff and says that. And sometimes, which I don't actually know how he says this word, because the only swear word if I swear, which obviously isn't good to in front of children, but is the F word. That's the only word I ever normally say. Um, I never say the word shit, which is the word that he has learnt, or it sounds a lot like it. He'll literally, and he hasn't actually worked out what it means, luckily. He'll just, if he's doing something sometimes, or if he's in the high chair, he normally does it, he'll, he sits down, he does it in a really high pitched voice, which is really funny, and he just goes, oh shit, like that. That's what he does. And I try not to laugh because obviously you shouldn't really laugh, but I always do. And then I'm like, no, I shouldn't laugh because that's not good that he's saying that. And then because I laugh, he does it even more. And then I'm like, oh no. So I try not to laugh, but it's kind of funny. So that bit has annoyed me. Um, but yeah. So and that's really the words he says. I mean, he does talk a lot, but you can't really understand what he's saying, or you try to. But yeah. Um, Food and drink still the same. He drinks a lot, actually, but I mean he's active now, so I suppose that's why. So if I keep sniffing, my allergies are always really bad at night. Um, his food is always the same. Like he's always been a good eater. Um, oh my god, sorry, something's it's irritating my nose now. His weight, I can't remember what it was. I think he was 26 pounds the last time he got weighed. So he's now in the 92nd or 93rd percentile. So he's huge for his weight. And his height was in the 75th percentile. And his head circumference, I think, was like, it's still, everything's above average basically. His head circumference was, I think, just in the middle. Whereas his weight and his height are like really high, especially his weight. And which I actually now use as proof because so many people, when I complain that he's heavy, they're like even my mum, she'll be like, oh, he's not that heavy, like, but he really is. And then when I got him weighed, like everyone was shocked because when she said, oh, he's in the 93rd or 92nd percentile, and I was like, that's huge, compared to before. And then everyone was like, oh right, well he obviously does weigh a lot, which he does. Um, I can barely carry him now because he's so heavy. Well, obviously I'm pregnant, so it doesn't help, but he is so heavy. But she said for his height and weight, that's fine. Like he's not overweight or anything. So it's perfect with his height and weight. And I'm getting him weighed again in the next 4 weeks, I think, because you get it done every 3 months now. Um, yeah. That's that. I think that's really it. This video's only too long otherwise. I've already forgotten stuff, but that's the main stuff to talk about with Kai that I probably haven't mentioned. I will do like his room tour at some point because he now has a toddler bed and it's not completely finished his room. My mom, excuse me, is going to paint the room for me, but in I don't know when, some point. And also she's got shelves to put on the wall for me, like pine ones that are really nice because he doesn't have shelves to put all his like stuff on. So yeah, it's not completely finished, but I can do like an updated one, I suppose. And I will do a nursery tour, which will be my room, obviously, but still a nursery tour once it's finished, obviously. I am currently washing a lot. Like I do washing every day because I'm washing all the baby clothes. Only up to 6 months. Then I'm not washing those stuff because it's going to be ages till he's wearing them. But obviously anything new that I buy, I will wash. But yeah, I'm currently doing loads of washing and then hanging stuff and folding stuff, putting stuff away, organising because I love to organise stuff anyway. And I did wash all the bedding for the cot, which I will do like that as well, like show you the cot because I got a bedding set which costs £60, which is quite steep, but then it actually works out cheaper because you get like 2 sheets, you get the bumper, you get the quilt. I think that's what you get. So it actually works out cheaper than doing it separate, which is why I wish I did it with Kai. But yeah, so that's really good. So I do that as well because it is really nice. Um, yeah. Anyway, this video is gonna be too long. I will do my update next. I just wanted to get this one up first. Yeah, I've probably forgotten stuff like I said, but I just wanted to get this out there basically. And I will do my update next. So yeah, bye.